when a monster hides in plain sight, when justice turns its face away, and when the people decide they've had enough. What happens next shocks the entire nation. This is the story of Aku Yadav, the man who turned an Indian slum into his personal kingdom of terror, and the day hundreds of women, his victims, turned that kingdom to ashes. No one really knows how a young boy named Bharat Kalicharan Yadav, once a bright and handsome student, turned into one of India's most feared criminals. He got notoriety in India due to his horrific crimes against members of Dalit communities. They are known for the lower caste in Indian caste system. In India, being molested, threatened, even murdered, that happens every day. But asking for justice? That's where the real punishment begins. Bharat Kalicharan Yadav, Urf Aku, was born into a relatively well-off family. Aku had everything: privilege, opportunity, and respect. But when his father died, that privilege vanished overnight. By his teenage years, Aku had dropped out of school. Gambling, extortion, theft, these became his daily habits. At first, it was just money. Aku and his gang would extort the poor, demanding small sums with threats of violence. But what began as crime for profit turned into something darker, something monstrous. For more than a decade, Aku Yadav ruled Kasturba Nagar like a self-proclaimed king. He carried knives, sometimes guns, and moved through the narrow lanes with an arrogance that even the police wouldn't challenge. But what truly horrified the community will break your heart. Now Aku was taking a troubling path day by day. A friend of Aku, named Vilas Bande. There was an incident where Aku and his gang planned to extort money from a couple. However, upon coming, it was clear that Aku's intentions were not good on seeing the girl. Aku and his gang executed the plan, and after robbing them, Aku sexually assaulted the girl in front of his man and then left for dead. Then he once got arrested again on the charge of theft and molestation, but stint in jail did not reform Aku's life. Instead, he continued his crimes, especially the sexual assault against women. He assaulted young girls, married women, unmarried women, or even pregnant, the elderly whenever he pleased. Reports estimate at least 40 women were attacked. The youngest was just 10 years old. Children stopped going to school. Women stopped stepping outside after sunset. And every locked door echoed with one name whispered in fear: Aku. Witnessing women helplessly assaulted on the roadside left lasting trauma, and children were scared by the sight of their mother's dignity being forcefully stripped away. Parents were so helpless as they watched their daughter being forcibly taken away by the Aku gang, no matter how much they resisted. The crime was so frequent, the numbers of crime was rising day by day. Most girls couldn't attend school because their parents were worried about their daughter's safety. Yet each time someone dared to report him, the police let him go. The victims, poor Dalit women, were accused of lying, of having relations with him, or worse, the officers themselves assaulted them. The women fought against an incident happened when a woman named Asha Bhagat, who took a strong stand for her community. She was known as the fearless and brave woman. She was fierce, outspoken, and unafraid to confront him in the streets with Aku's gang. She supported as much as she could. She tried to provide food that was in need. She realized how important it is to stop Aku and his gang. Whenever they attacked any woman in that area, she gathered the men of her community, urging them to fight back. But when they tried, their plan failed. On the night it was set in motion, Aku and his gang managed to escape after a blow to the head caused a hemorrhage. He got a severe injury and lost his blood in a large quantity, but he was saved by one of his friends named Avinash Tripathi. After the failed attempt on his life, Aku became more mistrustful. He was not just concerned about women seeking revenge. Aku believed the real threat came from the man plotting against them. Consequently, he started dispersing them from the meetings. One day, Aku's paranoia extended to Avinash, the friend who saved the life of Aku. Avinash was known for his kindness and amiable nature. He was good with everyone. Avinash had a good relationship with the community and Aku's gang, but Aku was not convinced with this. Aku disapproved of Avinash associating with people he regarded his enemies. This fact did not set well with Aku. Avinash sometimes visits Asha's house with the people of that community. One day, Aku confronted Avinash not to sit with Asha. Avinash was failing to convince Aku that Asha is his friend. Aku was not happy with this response, and their verbal communication took a physical confrontation. Aku took out his knife. he used to keep with him and stabbed Avinash, leading him to bleed to death in the middle of the road. When Asha confronted him for his action, he threatened Asha that the next number is her. He was arrested, but after 2 years, he was released. And instead of any reform in his actions, he planned an attack on Asha. Aku gathered his gang and went straight to Asha's house. Knock knock on Asha's door. Not knowing what was going to happen with her, she rushed and opened the door. She was brutally assaulted and murdered in front of her daughter by Aku and his gang. It was so horrifying. Her breasts were mutilated, her face was disfigured, her private parts were disfigured. They showed no mercy, and they left her dying. And then after Aku and his gang brutally assaulted a woman named Kamla, after 10 days she had given birth to a baby. The trauma of the assault leads Kamla to take her own life on fire. Now you can understand why they can't fight back. Even for the police, these 2 horrifying cases should have been a turning point. But not once every time Aku walked free. The police worked in league with Aku for the bribe and drinks. One case will horrify you more. A woman reported being sexually assaulted by Aku and his gang. Despite arresting them, the police subjected her to the same abuse. At this point, the women of Kasturba Nagar had lost all hope. The park of resistance. But when every door closes, one still remains open. Then comes Usha Narayan, a young hotel management student, brave, educated, and furious. When she heard about the assault of a 13-year-old girl, Usha filed a police report on the girl's behalf. But the police were corrupt and complicit. They told Aku about the report. That night, 40 men surrounded Usha's house, armed with knives, acid, and stones. Terrified yet defiant, Usha made a decision that would change everything. She dragged a gas cylinder to the door, cut the pipe, and let the gas fill the air. Then she shouted, "Come in, if you dare! I'll burn all of us alive!" The gang froze. They didn't move, and in that silence, the people of Kasturba Nagar realized something profound. The monsters they feared for years were actually cowards. It was the first spark of resistance, and once it ignited, then there was no turning back. Fearing for his life, Aku Yadav surrendered to the police, seeking protection from the very people he had terrorized. He was to appear in court on August 13, 2004, but the people knew the truth. The system would free him again. So, they gathered. Hundreds of them were men and women outside the Nagpur district court. When Aku stepped out of the police van, handcuffed yet arrogant, he smirked at the crowd and said, "I'll teach every woman here a lesson when I'm out." And that was his last mistake. The crowd snapped. The women threw chili powder to blind him. Police officers fled, and within minutes, the people broke into the courtroom. They surrounded Aku, the same man who had tormented their mothers, sisters, daughters, and they attacked. In just 15 minutes, it was over. The reign of Aku Yadav ended in a pool of blood on the courtroom floor. The media called it mob justice. Politicians called it lawlessness. But for the people of Kasturba Nagar, it was freedom. When the police arrested 5 women for the killing, hundreds of others came forward, demanding to be arrested too. They said, "If you arrest them, arrest all of us, because we all killed him." In the end, every accused person was acquitted. The official report concluded that the police had failed to protect the people, and that what happened was not gang rivalry, but an act of desperation by citizens abandoned by the system. Justice should never come from rage. And yet, when justice dies, rage becomes the only language people understand. Aku Yadav's story isn't just about one man's cruelty. It's about a system that allowed it to happen. It's a reminder that when fear turns into unity, even the most powerless can reclaim their voice. This is not the story of Aku Yadav. This is the story of the people of Kasturba Nagar, the forgotten, the silenced, and the ones who finally said, "Enough." Thanks for watching.